Hello and welcome to episode 4 of Life at the Chocolate Factory. It's all about purpose. I just want to start by saying that I am so grateful. I got an intuitive download to start this podcast, and I felt like everything really aligned to make this happen. But I genuinely didn't think that this many of you would listen to it. I have people from 7 different countries listening to this podcast, and that just makes me so happy. I'm really glad that you're all here with me, and it just motivates me I cannot even describe how grateful I am. I just wanted to put that out there. That's the first thing I wanted to put out there. Then I also wanted to say that my camera broke. When I was recording that's how I ended the last podcast. When I was recording it, it literally just broke. And since then, the energy's just been so chaotic around me. I feel like everything is just super chaotic. The whole day today, I've just been all over the place trying to ground myself, but it's been impossible. So my energy is very today, which I think might be good when you're recording a podcast. But then also my 2 sons, Otto and Fino, have a really bad cold, and it just breaks my heart. And I have to leave them at their grandma's tomorrow because I'm going to a pig sanctuary. And that was a life update, but it just breaks my heart. Everything is super chaotic. So just letting you in on that. And, I think that when you are an entrepreneur, you get used to the chaos. It's a part of your daily life, but it can still be, I thrive in it now. Before I would freak out and get so much anxiety, but now I really thrive in it. But I just try to find stability within me so that I can handle the chaos. Anyways, it is all about purpose. So as you may have guessed, we are discussing purpose today. I think it's a really interesting topic because a lot of times I have people ask me if I've found my purpose. And obviously I have found my purpose. I feel like everything I do is connected to my purpose. But then they ask me, they're like, how did you do it? And I find that interesting because I never went looking for it. Personally, I think that that's not the way to go about it. But then people are like, but yeah, you were lucky, you were handed Vegan Delights. And I'm like, I wouldn't say that I was lucky. I definitely feel really blessed, but I don't think I was just handed Vegan Delights. I think that there are other ways to find your purpose, but at the time that you are doing that, you might not realize that, the final destination is your purpose. With that being said, I just want to let you guys know how I found my purpose, because a lot of people think that my purpose is Vegan Delights, but it's so much more than that. Vegan Delights is a part of my purpose, but I wouldn't say that my whole purpose, my essence of, being is Vegan Delights. There's so much more to it. In order for me to find my purpose, for me, it never started with, what do I want to do? What's the meaning behind what I want to do? What do I want to do with my life? What do I want to work with? I knew I wanted to contribute with change. And now when I look back at everything, I can really connect the dots. But for me, it started with, I need to start peeling the layers of me to get down into my core and really understand who I am. And you can keep peeling. It's just like an onion. You can keep going and going. But that was step 1 for me. That's how I finally got to my purpose. So that's how it started. I just wanted to understand who I am. I wanted to heal. I wanted to peel all the layers off. I wanted to start feeling better in myself, and I wanted to really establish my values and who I was, because I felt really lost in that. And that may sound cliche, but I don't think you need to go somewhere. I don't think you need to travel the world to, find yourself. If that's what you want to do, that may be part of your path, but I never felt that. I just felt like something was missing. I really wanted to connect with myself, and that's what I did. And the second thing I did was I started listening to my inner voice. I started listening to my intuition. And it was telling me to do things that were weird. It was telling me to come up with, a chocolate recipe one night in my kitchen. It was telling me to study political science. it was telling me all these things, and I was just like listening to it, and I was really following it. And as I mentioned in the first episode of my podcast, when I was writing my thesis, it really clicked that like, oh, okay, Vegan Delights is what I want to do. This is a part of my purpose. But the reason that clicked was that I had gotten to know myself, and I knew that in order for my life to be fulfilling, I needed to create change and I needed to contribute with something. So for me, I needed to contribute with, this may sound weird, but I just wanted to spread magic. So, I saw the darkness. I saw all the bad things in the world. And I felt like in order to create change, I needed to contribute with something that was light and beautiful, that made people connect with their inner child, that made them excited, that made them believe in things that are magical. That ended up being chocolate. I don't see Vegan Delights as my purpose. I see Vegan Delights as a vessel. I see Vegan Delights as something I can express myself through. It's my creations, and this is something that I felt like all the magic and all these ideas that I had as a child, I liked expressing them through my creations, and that's how I ended up creating Vegan Delights. So Vegan Delights became a vessel for my purpose. It's not like my entire purpose. It's a really big part of it, and I love it, and I will probably, I don't think I'll ever stop loving it, and I won't ever stop loving to work with it. I can't see myself doing anything else, but there's a deeper meaning behind it. This took a while. Even after I started working with Vegan Delights, it took a while for me to really, really get into this and understand that, oh wow, like I needed to connect with my inner voice, and I needed to connect with my power to really be able to understand that I was working with my purpose, to be able to take that in fully. Because I was still lost when I started Vegan Delights. I was like, why is the universe telling me to do this? And I've told you all about this. If you haven't heard it, you can go back and listen to my first episodes. But I was really asking like, why? I just really, I couldn't wrap my head around what I was doing and why I was doing it. And it took so long for it to really click. But when it clicked, it clicked. And I realized that I am working with, my job is an extension of me, of who I am. And I really cannot relate to people when they say they need a break from their job, when they say that they don't want to work anymore, that they're tired of this, that they're tired of that. And I cannot relate to that because my job is me. And taking a break from my job is taking a break from myself. I can get frustrated sometimes because the level of responsibility that I have is really high, and that can be daunting, but I don't ever feel like, oh, I need to take a step back from this. Like, I never ever feel that. And that's a blessing. I'm really happy about it, but it took a while for me to get here. I followed my gut. I followed my intuition. I got to know myself, and that led me to my purpose. But the purpose, it took like 8 years for me to get to where I am. So instead, and again, I really have to make this clear that I'm not a guru, I'm not a teacher, I'm not here to tell you what you need to do. But what really worked for me was to just deep dive within and get to know myself and follow my intuition. And it's been a crazy ride, and it still is. Like, I'm telling you how chaotic everything is today. But, in the end, you just find inner stability and inner strength, and that makes it easier. But probably 99.9% of the time, you're going to be like, why am I doing this? Why am I feeling so pulled to do this? Why is this person so appealing to me? Why am I suddenly obsessed with chocolate? Like, why do I connect, everything that I felt as a child to chocolate? Like, all of these things were so strange to me, but it really makes sense now. But just trust your gut. Just follow it. That's one piece of advice that I can get. I understand why some people get frustrated when they just search for their purpose, because I think it's really difficult to just wake up one day, and I'm sure some people have had a journey like that, but I think it's very difficult to just wake up one day and think that, yeah, this is my purpose. Now it's crystal clear. This is what I'm going to do, and then never ever have to go back and think about it. But maybe that business idea, maybe that friendship, maybe that partnership, whatever, is leading you to something bigger. And this is interesting because I was actually I hadn't read The Alchemist, okay? I put it on my list. I had it on my list for 10 years, but I never read it. But me and my friend, she had read it ages ago, but she was like, it didn't really make sense back then. We have this book club. It's just the two of us. But we were like, okay, we listened to it. It was an audiobook because I'm reading something else. I always read one book and then I listen to an audiobook. But when I was listening to it, I was like, exactly. It's such a long road, and it's one thing that makes you walk down that path and take that journey. But, your personal legend is at the end of it. And you have to go through all these tests and all these crazy things and meet all these people to truly get there. And while doing that, you're going to start questioning yourself. You're going to go through probably things that probably feel horrible. As I told you in my previous episode, I went through a full-on dark night of the soul, whatever you want to call it, to get here. But that's what you need to do. And I think it's interesting for me because that darkest time happened right before the breakthrough. But it was a long time, and I did not think there would be a breakthrough after it. With that being said, that was the journey for me. And what I feel right now is that it's crystal clear. I know what I'm here to do. I know what I want to do with my life. And that kind of trickles down into different projects, like this podcast, like Vegan Delights, like everything I do on social media, the content that I make, everything, even my friendships, everything is just a part of the bigger picture. And it's so cool because recently, for example, I just started connecting with so many people who are like-minded after a long period of isolation. I'm gonna give you more details on this in the next episode. But it's just because it's so connected to my purpose and I see it. And their purposes are connected to my purpose, and it's just it's really beautiful. It's all connected. But yeah, as I mentioned before, I've been super lost, and it's completely normal to be super lost. I think it's actually a good sign to be really, really lost, because that's going to make you search for something. If you're just ignoring it and telling yourself that you're happy, or if you are happy with where you're at, then you're not going to go look for something else. You're not going to look for more, right? So I don't think anyone should worry about being lost. So with that being said, what I find interesting now is that this started way earlier than I thought that it did. This started when I was a child. So what's really interesting is that my favorite author was Roald Dahl, right? One of my favorite books was Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. And when I'm telling you my favorite author was Roald Dahl, I had a crazy obsession with his books. So I had a whole collection of them, and I would just reread them daily. And there was something about these magical worlds that were so interesting to me. They would just pull me into the books. And I was like, I believe in all of this when I was a kid. And I would look at the world in awe, and I'd be like, whoa, all of this exists beneath the surface. But I never thought that I would become Willy Wonka. That was never in the cards for me. But now when I look back at it, I really understand why I had an obsession with Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. It makes so much sense, and how my brand has been so inspired by, the magic of Wonka's creations. And it's really beautiful. And again, as I told you before, the want to create change, connecting with your inner child, all of these things are just making so much sense now. I just feel like everything that's happened in my life has led me to this very point. And it's such a beautiful full circle moment. And it just really makes sense now. All the things that happened that, felt like horrible things or beautiful things, all the things that happened that were really difficult, that were really fun, all of them led me to where I am today. I also think that internal fulfillment is what comes first. And external success is something that I didn't focus on at all. I didn't even think it would come. I didn't think any of this would actually start manifesting in my reality, but it did. But first, I needed to find it within myself. When I found it within myself, and after I really built that strong foundation in myself and started loving myself, I also started opening up to the idea of contribution and how important that is. I realized that it's not about what I want to do. It's not about doing something fulfilling for me. It's not just about that. It's about me putting something good into the world. And obviously, that was a part of my purpose, but I really understood that in order to do that, I needed to connect with others. So I started my podcast, but I also needed to, try to make an impact in my local community with the things that I was doing for animals. I'm going to a pig sanctuary tomorrow. I realized that I needed to start after, number one was create a good relationship with yourself. It's really difficult to give when you have nothing to give. But after I had created that fulfilling relationship with myself, I was like, okay, this is now. I'm talking about now. Honestly, it's been the past 4 or 5 months. I'm like, yeah, okay, now I really need to put something out there. And I have so many different projects going on right now. Obviously, I put more time and effort into some of them, but they're all really about the same thing. I've connected with like-minded people who have similar purposes, and it's all about putting it out there somehow and doing something good for those around you. So whether that be, create jobs, one thing that's super important for me with Vegan Delights is creating a job environment in which people thrive, and also creating job opportunities for people who wouldn't have gotten them otherwise. I think these things are super important. I've had a long journey as a leader, and it's been really difficult for me. But what I try to do is I really try to have a super inclusive workspace where everyone can speak their minds, where they can feel good about themselves, and where I am not telling them, I understand that I have creatives working with me. I have creatives who make content, who make chocolate, and their ideas have to, they need to be able to express their ideas. They need to grow as creative people in my company. Otherwise, they'll never want to stay and they won't feel good. So, I try to create a really open work environment for everyone where they can really thrive and feel at home. And I want my company to be, I feel like it is, if you ask me, but a big family, because you spend so much time at work. And that in itself for me is contribution, because I've worked, I've had extra jobs in places where people just feel awful. I've seen my friends, I've seen family work in places where they don't feel fulfilled, where they don't feel seen. And that in itself is contribution, and it's a part of my purpose. Let's spread magic at Vegan Delights and let's have all the employees feel it. So things like that are what really motivate me in the long term. Anyways, I'm not going to ramble on about this because I feel like I've made my point. I feel like there's not really much more to say about purpose. It's really, I think it's within each and every one of us. And I think it's ridiculous to think that our purpose is going to make us a millionaire or this or that. It's something within each and every one of us. And it could be so different depending on who you are and what you want to do. So I'm going to keep this short and concise. I don't really have much else to say about purpose. If you have any questions, let me know. Please let me know. I love hearing your feedback about this podcast. I love hearing what you want me to talk about. But other than that, yeah, I think that's it. let me just tell you shortly like what I'm gonna do this weekend because I'm really excited about it and I feel like it's super aligned with my purpose. So I recently connected with a girl in southern Sweden who has a pig sanctuary. And we started speaking and it was just like an instant connection. And I decided that I have to go to the pig sanctuary. So I'm going to go there tomorrow and I'm really, really excited about it. And I have to drive like 7 hours to get there. But the pigs are so cute. I'm sorry, like I'm going for the pigs. No, I'm not. But we have a really exciting project that we want to do together that's coming up. So I thought I would update you on that later on. But maybe we can do like an entire episode about the pig sanctuary. That'd be super cool. But anyways, so I'm so excited about that. That's where I'm going to spend my weekend. And then when I come back, I'm going to record the next episode. And in the next episode, I'm going to tap into something that is really personal for me, relationships. Because I feel like my whole world of relationships shattered when this journey started. And so I want to share that with you and how my relationships were affected by me choosing this path for myself. I feel like oftentimes when we choose a path like this for ourselves, we feel really lonely. And I think it probably helps if I share my journey and how all of my relationships were affected. I will share how all of my relationships were affected by this journey and what my relationships look like now and how, everything has developed and aligned with what I'm doing. So yeah, I hope you tap into that episode. I'm super excited, but I'm even more excited about the pig sanctuary. With that being said, I just want to thank you. As always, I'm so excited that all of you are listening, and I will see you soon.